Hi, Next to Change. Vivian here. I want to talk about outgrowing people. If you're a person that's working on yourself and that's a constant for you, chances are you are going to outgrow a lot of people in your life unless they are growing as well. So you're going to outgrow them. You can outgrow them just intellectually, um, mature wise, just you have a growth mindset, so you just outgrow them. It could be spiritually, it could be in all kind of ways. But what I want to talk about are 7 ways that you can tell that you've outgrown someone. And of course, there are exceptions to everything. But here I go with 7 pretty significant signs that you've outgrown someone. And the first one is you see them, through the eyes of an observer. So you used to be with the person and you'd be in the room with them or a group of people and you'd be engaged. So you saw yourself, as part of the group. You saw yourself as part of the conversation and you were completely inside of the experience. But once you begin to outgrow people, you no longer see yourself that way. You no longer see yourself as an us or one of them. And now you can have completely kind of disconnected. So now you're more of an observer when you're with them. So you're observing what's around, you're observing how they're behaving, you're observing what they're saying. Before you were engaged in what they're saying, now you're making more observations and you're making more mental notes about what's going on and about who they are than actually connecting with them. So now you become outside of the experience and you really are making observations. The second thing is that you wonder why you're there with them. Like, you could be sitting in a room and all of a sudden you have this type of awakening where, you're sitting there and all of a sudden it's kind of like with the observer too, because you're looking, but you're like, why am I here? Like you really don't feel any true function for being there. There's really no cogent reason for you to be with them. And it's not like you're feeling a disdain or a hate or, sometimes there is a bit of a mild resentment. It could be, but you just wonder, why you're there. And you really, it's more of a coaching of yourself or a self-reflection while you're there with them. And the bottom line is that you just know that you no longer belong in that space. That's not your space anymore. And, you know, that's a current, a thing that will happen a lot when you're outgrowing someone or once you've outgrown them. The third thing is that you feel as if you're wasting your time, or that you've wasted your time. So you spend all this time talking to them on the phone, or you spend time going to visit them, or them visiting you, or you're with them. And once it's over, it's just, there was no gain. And sometimes you can be growing and the other person may not be growing. And not to sound cocky or anything like that, it's just true. It's not that they can't grow. So it's not like you're getting some kind of, some kind of unearned or just some kind of nobility of growth that you've assigned to yourself, because anybody can grow, but it's an intentional thing that you have to really want to do. So there is work involved. So, you just feel like you wasted your time. And going back to what I was going to say is that, sometimes when you may be growing at a faster pace, or you may want to grow and they want to just remain the same, you can talk about growth and have growth conversations with some people, and you will see that they want to grow and they rise up and they bring you higher and you bring them higher. And then that, if that's the case, you don't feel like you've wasted. That would be like a teacher or a mentor, feeling as if they wasted their time. But if the person is absorbing, the role of a sponge, or even just helping you grow, there is no waste of time. But if there's somebody who just doesn't want to grow, they don't want to do anything that's will add to them being a better person, you've just wasted your time. The fourth one is there is awkward or empty space. So before, where you guys always had something to talk about, you were interested in their conversation, they were interested in your conversation, and now there's kind of a empty space on your side because they're still talking about the same things that they've talked about for the past 5 years. So they're still indulging in those things, and you no longer indulge in those things. You used to, but now when they're talking about, a lot of those things seem like trivial things. They don't seem important anymore, and you don't want to, because you've moved on and you're talking about other things that you feel like make you a better person and would make other people better people. And, but they want to be the way they were 5 years ago. So now they're talking, and when it's your turn to talk, you don't really want to talk about that. So where you would normally fit in or normally chime in, you don't. So there's just an empty, awkward space, and they can tell that you're not responding. And even if you redirect and respond to something else, they don't want to go there. They don't want to go there. And I don't even know really if it's that they just don't want to at that moment in time go there. They may not have the ability to go there because they haven't practiced anything else. They have a pattern of life, and that pattern of life has no growth in it. So they just regurgitate the same thing over and over and over and over and over. They try to make you laugh with the same things over and over that you used to laugh at 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but they're not funny anymore, or they're just, it's just not interesting, because you may have discovered something else that's now sparking you, and and all that was fine and dandy then. The fifth thing is they keep connecting with you as who you were instead of who you are. So they really just seem far away. They really just seem distant because, they're remembering who you were before you, began to change or to grow older. I mean, there should be growth anyway, just because we're getting older, we're having experience, we're gaining knowledge, we're experiencing life, we're doing things. But, they still want to connect with that person that you were. And it's not that you're not the same person, but there's an evolution, right? There's a, it's just like they say, you never step in the, I might not be saying it correctly, but you never step in the same river twice or something, because the point is that if you step into the river now, well, the river's still flowing. So when you go back to that spot to step in, that's not the same river, that's not the same water, but it still is the river. So you're still you with all the labels that you may identify with, who you are, your name and all that. But on a conscious level and awareness and mindset, you've evolved and you're different. And so they don't know how to connect with that new person. You can see people that you haven't seen in years, and you do connect with them on that I know you level. But then from there, either you guys are going to remain connected or you're not, because somebody's going to have outgrown somebody, right? It's not unless everybody's on a growth path. Then you're going to connect on that level that you knew, and then you're going to meet each other where you are. And then once you get to that point to meet each other where you are now, that's going to determine how that relationship is going to go. And that's the same way with, the people you're around. If they're not growing, they're going to keep connecting in, a different place. They're going to keep stepping in that same spot in the river, and it's not the same river, And so they're going to seem far away and distant, and it's going to be like, well, I don't know you anymore. And, you do, but you kind of don't, So that's one way that you know that you've outgrown someone. Also, number 6, negativity. Number 6, negativity is glaring. So now when you've outgrown people, you can see all the negativity. Negativity is something that a lot of people gravitate to, and it's a conscious effort to disconnect yourself from the negativity and try to stay in a positive space. So once you're growing, their negativity is it's glaring. And it's so glaring that you notice that you and that person may have more contentious disagreements because they know that you're growing and they're trying to keep up, maybe, or they might be resentful of the fact that you're growing, and you don't want to behave in the way that you used to behave with them. But they still want to behave in that way. So they're feeling uncomfortable about it. And so now, it used to be if you guys didn't agree, you just didn't agree. And now they're more contentious about it and petty about it. So, that's just because they don't know how to handle the growth that they see in you. And the 7th thing, that is a symptom of you outgrowing someone else or other people is that now they just seem pedestrian. There's nothing unique that seems unique about them, or nothing intriguing about them, or nothing, you used to have fun with them and you used to want to call them on the phone and you used to want to go places with them because you were connecting with them, and they seemed exciting, or you knew you were going to have fun, or you knew all these different things, or they were going to talk about something that you wanted to talk about, and they're going to bring up issues that you like. But then once you grow and outgrow that, and if they remain the same, they're going to seem just garden variety average. And when I say average, I mean just talking about what, the garden variety topics, celebrities, TV shows, fashion, and there's a place for all that. There really is. But if that's all you talk about, if that's the only space that you have, and there's no analytical thoughts going, there's no spiritual or soulful, ascension, in thought or anything like that, or just, I don't know, then you're growing, and then all of a sudden you're just disinterested in what they're saying. And so, those are 7 signs that you have likely outgrown the other person. And I want to say that it's not it just happens. It's not really your fault. It's not really their fault. Again, it's just something in life that happens, and when we see that, you always accept it. You don't let their lack of interest in growing, you don't let that stagnate you, because you still have a journey in this life. You still have a mission. You still have things that you'd like to accomplish. And, you just, that person, you just may have to disconnect from them totally, or partially, or whatever, whatever it takes. And then sometimes just the sheer discrepancy between who you are and they are, life will just itself just sever, those ties, but you always wish other people the best, and you bless them, and, hope that they will be happy in their life. This is Vivian from Next to Change. You be the next to change.